Merry me, Annie here. This video is in response to Ethan, and I put the link to his video below. And excuse me for looking down, I forgot what his username is. Merkwood90. And it's been quite a few months ago, I think, maybe October or so, that he had done a video where he had asked for thoughts on, those of us who were Wiccan, what we thought about the possibility of there being Wiccan scriptures. And he had been thinking about that after he saw several of us, myself included, referring to the words in the charge as inspiration from and instructions by the gods. So I gave some thought to the idea of, would I call things like the charge scripture? It's not something that would have entered my mind before, because it's just a terminology I never thought to apply to what they are to me, but I don't know why they couldn't be called that. They fit the description to me. And I'm smiling as I say that, because I'm thinking that my first priest in the 70s, who taught me when I was a young witch, if I had said to him, these are scripture, I don't know that he would have embraced the word. And I just don't know that it bothers me to use the word. If the word is about sacred writing, teachings that the gods provide us, guidelines that the gods provide us, well then yes, they would be scripture. Now I come from a very traditional background, so they were written, they were passed from person to person, so they did stay the same. And now they were up for discussion. Part of our teaching for night after night after night was discussing all the versions of the reed and going through every line of the charge and learning what they meant, what we could take personally as deep meaning, what lessons were we taught. Now, we didn't think they were the words of the gods, Ethan. It's just not part of what I am as a Wiccan. It just doesn't fit what I would see, that it was writing the writings of man and woman. But when, if we use the charge for example, when in summary everything that we believe and every way that we practice, what the gods bring to us, what our responsibility is in return to them, how to live our life, it summarizes. The charge is the center of my spirituality, the charge and the reed. And that sounds like scripture to me, and I'm comfortable with that. I wouldn't have a problem calling it that. Out of that, your question, which I thought was really fascinating, was if then you've got things set in stone. Bottom line is, I'm not so sure how set in stone something like the charge or the reed would be, because we're trained to take it intimately and personally, and that whatever deep resonance will have for us individually is what it is. That's part of the exploration and part of the beauty of working with teachers and being taken under the wing of a coven when you're going through this learning process. So it'd be hard to be a heretic when there's really nothing to rebel against. It's not scripture in the sense that this is what it is and it will be this for everybody. It is scripture in the sense that we are taught it as it was taught to those who came before us. And some piece of it has been written down, not much, but some piece of it has been written down, as we see in the reed and the charge. And we're left to make of it what we need it to be in our life. It would be difficult to be a heretic in the face of that, because that is, if this doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Take it or leave it, make of it what you will. So I don't know that one could be a Wiccan heretic. Now, if you're being stodgy, like some of my traditional brothers and sisters are, and you were meeting people along the way, as we do, and very often on the YouTube community, there will be those who will say they are Wiccan, and you'll find out from our videos we don't have a lot in common. So you could have someone from the old school like myself say, well, they're not a Wiccan, while they are claiming, yes, I am. Would you consider them to be a heretic then? I don't go there. It just doesn't, I just don't need to go there. I don't care what somebody calls themselves. I just enjoy finding out what do they think and who are they, and you just can't be a heretic in the face of my Wiccan beliefs, because they're mine. I don't expect them to be anybody else's. The label doesn't limit to me what me or anybody else can be. So it's hard to be a heretic in the face of something that is not presented as this is what it is. Those things were taught to us as a place of discussion and learning and making them meaningful. And if the people we respected who had come before us found certain meanings in it, we were encouraged to explore what it could mean for us. So yes, to me, the charge is Scripture. I never thought of it that way before. My first priest is probably rolling over in his grave that I'm now using the word, but I'm fine with it. I don't see why it can't be called Scripture in the sense of sacred writing, with messages, with lessons, with teaching. Even in the sense that it could be the word of the gods, in the sense that the poet who wrote it inspired by, because I would expand Scripture for someone like me. My way of being a Wiccan, Scripture would also be all the things I've collected over the years, the poems that inspire me, the things that I've collected, the rituals in my Book of Shadows. I mean, I would consider it all to be, in a sense, Scripture, because if I'm codifying belief and I'm collecting the things that inspire me and teach me, well, they're vast. They're not just a poem called The Charge or a couplet or two called The Reed. There's more to it than that to me. So I'd say yes to the fact that one could conceive that there is Wiccan Scripture to those who are following a traditional form of Wicca and who do embrace the Charge and the Reed. That answers only to people like myself, that is the way that it is for us. Yes, could be called Scripture. I do think, though, it's hard to be a Wiccan heretic. You could only be a Wiccan heretic in the face of some who would choose to say this is what it is and it's non-negotiable. That's not my relationship to the movement, to the spirituality, to the feel of Wicca. Nothing's a given. It's kind of hard to be a heretic in the face of that. So there's my view on it, Ethan. I hope it's interesting to you. And if RoseGypsie is following up on this, maybe I'll try and find her by email. I really enjoyed her video. I know it's been a long time ago that she responded, so I really enjoyed her take on this too. Very interesting subject, actually. Not something I've actually thought of before. So, interesting thoughts for the night. Thank you, Ethan. I wish you mirth and reverence. Mary Part.